For my creative sticker, I am going to make a candle with the flame that is parameterized. And I'm going to start with a circle, which is going to help me build my cylinder that is the flame. And what I'm going to do is, even though this is a very, very simple circle, I am going to group that so I can apply the transform to my group and not my circle. And I want this to be the bottom part of my flame, so I'm going to do my top transform, which is 30, -30, and then the Y scale of 0.866. And that gives me the bottom cylindrical part of my candle. Then I am going to put a rectangle to be the middle part of my candle, and I want this candle to grow, so I'm going to put the height of that candle, and let's make it 2. So the height of my rectangle, which is the Y value, is going to be height, and the width it's going to be a little bit bigger. It needs to be 1.22. And then I want it centered at 0, and then the Y position needs to actually be half of, or -half of the height. Okay, so that means as my candle grows and shrinks, that triangle is going to get repositioned so that it's anchored at the origin. Okay, I also need another one of these guys to be the top of the candle. So I'm just going to copy and paste that and then place it at the top. But I am going to change the position. So the position is negative height. And that means that as my height shrinks and grows, that oval will as well. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is combine all that together, Boolean union. But the nice thing is those shapes are going to grow underneath, and I'll still have my candle. I'm going to make one more circle. I'm going to copy this one more time, but not inside my candle, so that I can get that one to be a tiny bit smaller. I'm going to do a Control G so that I can just uniformly scale that to be a smaller circle. And the position is also going to be negative height. And what that's going to allow me to do is I want this to be the color of a candle, which is really really light. But then that top circle is going to be just a tiny bit darker. So I'll start with the color of my candle, but then I'll make it just a tiny bit darker. Okay, so the next part of this, did I name it candle? Yeah, let's name it candle. And then the next part of this is I want to add a flame to this. And I'm going to use my pen tool for this, but I'm not great at drawing stuff like that. So I am going to insert an image just so that I have something to trace. Okay, so this last one can be a yellow part of this flame. Okay, so the reason that I did that, and now I can get rid of my image that I imported. The reason I did that is I want the option of this flame to be a select. And I want the flame to be small, medium, or large. Okay, but to use that, I only want to show this one if it's large, which means I'm going to go to Modify, Advanced, Visible, and this flame right here is only going to be visible if the flame size double equal sign large. Okay? Right now it's set to small, so it's not going to show, but I've set it to large, then it's going to show that outer size. Okay, let's do a similar thing to this middle one. I only want that one to show, so I want to go to Modify, Advanced, Visible. I only want that orange flame to show if the flame size equal medium, or, and the symbol for or is these pipe signs, or the flame size equals large. Another way I could say this is I could say if the flame size is not equal to small. Okay, so it's there if it's large, it's there if it's medium, and it's not there if it's small. So maybe one last thing we could do is we could add a little candle wick on this, and it's just going to be a really, really simple rectangle, and I'll just fill it, yeah, with that dark gray. Okay, what we do need to do though is we need all of that to move with that candle. So instead of having to move all those pieces separately, I am going to group those, and then currently let's change the Y position to be, let's start with that, negative height. That's too high, so how about 1 minus 1.5 minus. Okay, let's see how that looks. Maybe a little bit more, 1.6. Okay, so now that I have my variable candle with variable flame size, I'm going to go back to my room and let's put a candle on there. Okay, so I want it to look like a bunch of different candles, so I'm going to use my height parameter to vary the height of these candles, and then also vary the size of the flames. Okay, so same component, but 3 different flame sizes and height.